Facebook Live, Facebook Live. We have arrived. One more time, y'all. Let's get it in.
Conference muted. Conference recording started.
I want to thank everybody for chiming in. This is Watchman Derrick Yisrael, also known as Pastor Derrick, on the Early Will I See the Super Study and Prayer Line on this third day in July 2023. Hallelujah. Got Yosef holding it down faithfully on the conference line. My mom is in here as well. Al Mal is in the building. And we got my big sister Fee in the house. Damina, good to see you in here as well. Barbara, good to see you in here. Hallelujah. As well. As y'all chime in, feel free to push the like button for algorithm. The like button, the love button, the mad face button, if that's how you feel. Nicole Robinson, you've been in here. You've been up in here, Nicole as well. Bless you. May the Most High continue to bless you. Hallelujah. We're going to 1 John 3:18 on this morning. 1 John Yakanan 3:18 on this morning. Hallelujah. It's been hot out here lately, boy. Reaching above 100. Excuse me. It's supposed to be close to 100 today, not quite. We'll see what happens, though. Yamina Yahoo is up in here. Good to see you in here. Hallelujah. 1 John 3:18. Look what it say. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. And hereby know we that we are of the truth, and shall assure our hearts before him. If our heart condemn us, the Most High is greater than our heart, and knoweth all things. Beloved, if our heart condemn us not, then have we confidence towards the Most High, and whatsoever we ask, we receive of him, because we keep his commandments and do those things that are pleasing in his sight. Banks is in the building. Good to see you in here. We'll figure it out. Let me think 1 second. Let me see. We started a new series. The heart is the guide. The heart is the guide. You with me, Taylor? Part 1. The heart is the guide. Is that all right? Listen. 1 John 3:18 through 22. Again, Don Deems, good to see you in here. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. See, serving the Most High is it's a action type of a relationship. Ken, I see you in here. We're in 1 John 3:18. But having a relationship with the Most High is an action thing. It's an action thing. And so it became a major stumbling block and wrench in the game when the Christian church started teaching legalism and accusing deeds, obedience, living righteously as legalistic actions. Accusing folk of being legalistic if they obey Yah. If they teach the necessity of obedience to Yah, then you're being legalistic because they're teaching you just live by faith minus deeds and action. They make obedience to Yah something that causes you to go against Yah, which is absolutely ludicrous, but that's literally what they teach. And the truth of the matter is, what saves you is the reason you obey him. It's not minus obedience. If you're obeying him, and you demand them, that's when the problem comes in. When you obey him and you demand them to obey him, then they'll call you legalistic. Or if you're obeying him and they start feeling uncomfortable around you because you're obeying him and they're not, then they say you're doing too much and you're being legalistic. Good morning, Beverly. 1 John 3:18. Are y'all with me? So when we look at 1 John 3:18, my little children, let us not love in word. What that's saying is, that don't mean don't love somebody verbally. It don't mean that. Say loving things to them verbally. That don't mean that. Alyssa, always a pleasure seeing you, young lady. 1 John 3:18. That don't mean that. That means let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed. You got to finish the scripture. so you can understand what it's saying. It's saying don't just love verbally, talking. And that's not just towards the Most High. That's towards each other as well. Patricia Johnson, 1 John 3:18. That's towards each other. Are y'all with me? Loving each other. Don't just do it verbally, because we talk a good one, but we don't do nothing. Let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. And the truth of the matter is, we gotta operate in selflessness. We don't want to be found caught up in our rights to the point that we neglect others for our rights. When the Besorah, what they call the gospel, is exactly the opposite of our rights. Looking at our perfect example, the Messiah, he went opposite. He literally went opposite of his rights. Literally. In the Garden of Gethsemane, when he was faced with his own personal demise and death, he was faced with something that was his right. He had a right to live. He had a right not to be crucified. He had a right because he was right. He lived right. He did nothing to deserve death. He had a right to live. But as opposed to exercising his rights, he did what was right in the eyesight of Yah. He did what was right in the eyesight of Yah. He didn't do what was right in the eyesight of his humanity. He did what was right in the eyesight of the Creator. That's what he did. 1 John 3:18. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, verbally. Is that the extent of our love, verbally? Or can we position ourselves to love in deed and in truth? In action, Jackson. In action. And in truth. What is the truth? The truth is, we need to learn to live according to somebody else living. Did y'all hear what I said? We need to learn to live in a way that causes others to live. We need to live in a way that causes others to live, as opposed to me, myself, and I. We're living to please ourselves. Somebody had to live in a complete level of selflessness for us to have eternal life. Back to the Messiah. In Hebrews 12, it says, who for the joy that was set before him endured the torture stake, what they call the cross, despising the shame. But he endured because of the joy. What was his joy? To rescue us and to please Yah. And if we start living in a way that causes others to live, if we start living in a way that causes other people to live, not to please ourselves, but that somebody else can live, we would be duplicating the efforts that got us saved. We would be deemed to be selfish if we're not willing to give ourselves up that somebody else might live. 1 John 3:18. Read. Pull up a chair. We in here. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. That's how we're supposed to live. You want to be rescued? You want to be rescued? You want to be rescued from you? You want a clear conscience, a clear heart towards Yah? Is that what you want? Do you want to know that Yah is smiling at you? Do you want to know that? Then get what I'm teaching right now. And that's the truth. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. You can find yourself, if you look back, you can find yourself went 5 years straight looking out for you. Not even attempting to be evil, funny style, selfish, or nothing. You can just find yourself on autopilot looking out for you. On autopilot. Not running around necessarily like harming people, but you just look out for you. And you can find yourself subconsciously, unintentionally looking out for you to a level. Oh, can I teach this? To a level that you side with the devil. That's heavy, but we're gonna deal with it. In other words, hereby perceive we the love of Yah, because he laid down his life for us. And we ought to lay down our lives for the brother. And I believe that's 1 John 3:16. I believe that's what it is. But hereby perceive we the love of the Most High, right? Hereby perceive, we can perceive his love. Hereby perceive we the love of Yah. How do we perceive it? Because what he did. Hereby perceive we the love of Yah, because he laid down his life for us. The word was made flesh. 1 Timothy 3:16. And without controversy, 1 Timothy, or is it first? That's no, it's 1 Timothy 3:16, right? Man, I gotta see now. And without controversy, great is the mystery of Yahliness. Yah was manifested in the flesh. Period. It was Yah that was manifested in the flesh. Justified in the spirit, seen of angels, preached on the Gentiles, believed on the world, and 1 Timothy 3:16. I was right. Let me see if it was 1 John as well on the hereby perceive we the love of Yah. I'm checking y'all because I gotta make sure I'm teaching. Yeah, I was right again. First John 3:16. But hereby perceive we the love of Yah, because he laid down his life for the brethren. Denise Wilkins. 1 John 3:18. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Denise Wilkins. First John 3:18. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. You don't want to receive the Basora, what they call the gospel. You don't want to receive that and then operate in self-preservation, because that's the opposite of what is known as the gospel. That's the opposite of it. And you got to get that. That's the opposite. It is the opposite. It's the opposite. Me looking out for me is the opposite of the gospel. It's the opposite, y'all. What got me death, burial, resurrection is somebody was willing to die, be buried, and resurrected. And the reason why they died and was buried and resurrection was not for themselves. They already had eternal life. It was for us. It was for me. That's what they call the gospel. That's what the gospel is. I have a relationship with the Most High because the Mashiach was willing to do that. All prophecies was leading to that. All prophecies. Everything in the book was leading to somebody else gave up their right that I might live. Gave up their right to life. We get into some self-preservation in a minute, and it be unintentional, Teresa. It be unintentional. 1 John 3:18. It be unintentional. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Trying to switch from having a verbal relationship with the Most High. We talk a good one. All of us do. We talk a good one. But when we gonna live it and do it? What are we doing? I know that if I drink this in front of you, that's why the Bible say the kingdom of heaven is not meat and drink. I know if I eat this type of food in front of you, you're going to think I'm not with Yah. If I drink or eat this in front of you, I can cause you to stumble and shy away from the word. So I'm not going to eat and drink it then. Jeff Brown, I'm not going to. Listen, y'all. 1 John 3:18. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Switching from an outer appearance love, and let's get down to the nitty gritty. For me to love in action and in truth. What is truth? The truth is, I'm willing not to do certain things that I have a right to do that you might live. And I don't want to get religious because religious people live for themselves. They love to think in a way of like, God is blessing me. Get your blessing. I got mine. That's how people think. That's how they act. Ooh, God is blessing me. And they balling out of control and won't look across at somebody else that needs something. You got to get away from these type people. State of mind. Or the Messiah could have said, I got to get away from these people and had you in mind too. But he didn't do that. You counted too. When you look at 1 Corinthians, the 12th chapter, it said that we're all members of the body, and then it started talking about the different members, and it started naming body parts, because we're supposed to make up like the body of the Messiah. Then when it got down to certain parts of the body that we really don't trip off of, then it say you give more honor to these little feeble parts, these overlooked. You know how important a baby finger is or a baby toe? You know how important an ankle is? Things that we really don't pay attention to. Count. We don't want to get unintentionally into like a prosperity mindedness. Like Yah's working for me because I'm working Yah, right? Yah's working for me. You know, I'm saying my little prayers in the morning, and I'm doing this little religious move. I'm calling it a religious move based on the motive. Because please obey him and do your prayers and whatever you do that. But you don't want to turn it into a personal formula that rub the bottle, the genie bottle, the lamp, the lamp, and now the genie Yah's coming out of it and blessing you. And now that's your formula. And whoever ain't rubbing the lamp like you, that's their problem. Because, you know, I'm over here blessed. That's how people think. That's what religion will do to you. I'm not saying that you're not blessed because of a formula of obeying Yah. I'm not saying that. I would say I agree with you. You are blessed because you're praying and doing your scriptures and you're meditating and you're teaching your children Yah and you do whatever you're doing. Say you are blessed because of that. But that shouldn't position you to look down your spiritual nose at others. Now you own some. I got mine, you get yours. The reason why it ain't working for you, because you ain't working it. Though that be as it may, we all wasn't working it, and the Messiah worked it for us. Alina Franklin, the Most High. Look at what level he went to. The Messiah, the Most High, was found fashioned as a man, became the Messiah, the prophet made like on the Moses, became the Messiah. And say he worked it. He did what the word said. He came in the volume of the book and he obeyed the word. So he was blessed. But his blessing was to be a blessing to us. And he did that. Now let's go extreme. And then, when he was a blessing to us, we was hollering, crucify him, give us Barabbas. Figure that out. After he worked it and was blessed. He was so blessed that he was in a position to bless us. He lived a perfect example for us, laid down his life for us. Listen. He did all that to save us, and our response to him was crucify him, kill him, and give us Barabbas. What was his response to that? Because from our standpoint, we would have been so done. We would have been so done. Oh, is this how you gonna respond to me being good to you? Well, check this out then. That's what people do. Oh, you don't, yeah, you got it twisted. When the truth of the matter is, we need to use him as an example and be willing to love and help somebody that don't love and help you. Oh, I'm telling you the truth. My little children, 1 John 3:18, y'all. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. We rocking from 1 John 3:18 to 22, but we're going to dissect it. This is just part one. Trying to get our feet up under us. Spiritual feet up under us. Alina Franklin. But listen. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Action, Jackson. We got to do something. Yeah, it's all about doing something. You don't want to get caught up into you. He already saved you. You saved. Now you need to make moves to help others get saved. So So, like, if things are offensive to somebody, I need to watch it. Because I should be willing to lay my life down that they might live. Hereby perceive we the love of Yah, that he laid down his life for us. And the scripture went on to say, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. Yeah, 1 John 3 and 16. Right? You know what's funny? I went and looked up the scripture when I was already here. A couple of verses up. I just can't see it. I'm already here. Duh. Anyway. Well, I discovered that. Boy, is that funny to me. All I had to do was go up a couple verses. I went and looked it up to make sure I was mentally right. Here we go. Since I quoted it, and I'm right here. A couple of verses up from 18, huh? Hereby perceive we the love of Yah. Excuse me. Because he laid down his life for us. Hereby we perceive his love. Why? Because what he did. Then we should be exemplifying that same love. Somebody should be able to perceive Yah's love because we lay down our life too. That's what I'm trying to say. Hereby perceive we love Yah because he laid down his life for us. As an example. And we ought to lay down our lives for the brother. Oh my goodness. Now I'm going to have to read 17. But whosoever had this world's good and seen his brother have need and shut it up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwelleth the love of Yah in him? Did y'all know living here on earth, like we've been dealing with Israel and all that old fun stuff, which is 1,000% true. Woke up in the land of captivity. We've been lied to the whole 9 yards, right? So we need to understand who we are, whose we are, all that old fun stuff. Every believer can get in on it because this is a believer's relationship, right? But from a personal character, the personal character of the true believer, Yahudim or Gentile, the character of the believer is a selfless one. Your character is not like the world. Your character is not trying to double bubble. That's not your character no more. Used to be, but that's not your character no more. Your character is as the Most High prosper you, you prosper others. That's what the Messiah was trying to tell the rich young ruler that ran to him. The rich young ruler ran to him. Not only did he run, but when he got to him, he bowed down. Not only did he bow down, but he worshiped him. And then he asked the perfect question, what must I do to be saved? And then the Messiah then responded to him with the last 6 commandments of the 10 commandments. And the last 6 of the 10 commandments was more dealing with your neighbor, your brother, your sister, the people. And he was able to say, I've done all this since my youth. Then he went further. I believe Mark is the one that said he loved him when he went further and said, sell all you got and give it to the poor. Take up your torture stake, your tree, and follow me. He wasn't willing to do that because he had great possessions. See, when you caught up in the things instead of Yah, you're celebrating that Yah is blessing you, and you celebrating it the wrong way. Yah not blessing us so we can be better than one another. Yah's blessing us so we can be a blessing. But you really got to love Yah to understand that. And that's why in 1 John 3:16 it say, hereby perceive we his love. To perceive his love. To understand his love. To perceive something is to understand it. And to understand the love of Yah, he did something so you could. He did actions and deeds. Deeds and truth. The truth is, we needed him to do that, or we was doomed. That's the truth. So he did it. The deed and truth. 3:18. My little children, let us not love in word, verbal, tongue, verbal, but in deed and in truth. The truth is, we needed that. We got to discern when somebody needs. I'm not talking about some frivolous stuff. I'm talking about when a person needs you to be quiet. Just be quiet. Needs you to take down. You got a right to say it, but if you say it, you might destroy them. What you gonna do? Say it anyway? Because your pride is on the line, your ego. Come on. For us to receive the love of the Most High because he laid down his life for us, then one would ask, when did the Most High lay down his life for us? I thought it was the Messiah that laid down his life for us. Yah laid down his life for us when he was willing to find himself to be fashioned as a man, when he became a human being. And when 1 John 1:14 say, and the word was made flesh and dwelt among us. The word is Yah. In the beginning, John 1:1, in the beginning was the word was with Yah, the word was Yah. Yah's voice was with him in the beginning. And the 14th verse say, and the word was made flesh. That same word that's Yah became a human being. And that human being, right, laid down his life for us. That human being was the Messiah. Named Yahusha, Yah is salvation. The Most High became salvation to us. And that was a bumpy road for him. He sweat till he got wet in the Garden of Gethsemane. Because he's finna die for some sins he didn't commit. We did. And he went through with it. Hereby perceive we the love of Yah because he laid down his life for us, and we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. Weak ministry comes from weak people that are selfish. They into themselves. Ministry is fake when it's like another Michael Jackson. Another Biggie or another Tupac. Stardom is what I'm trying to show y'all. I'm not knocking none of them. What I'm saying is the music industry bless them. They getting paid. They balling. And when a person is in ministry and they're benefiting because they going viral, might even be making some money. Most people ain't making no money. They're just going viral. And people love going viral. Likes, and, marketing, and, people like that. Popular. People like that. Are y'all with me? You with me, Mark Logan? People like that. But true ministry, because ain't nothing wrong with going viral. True ministry is you're blessed to be a blessing, not blessed to. That's not what it's about. He went to a whole nother level with the rich young ruler. I'm talking about a whole nother level. He went to a whole nother level when he told him, sell all you got and give it to the poor. First, he hit him on a level that a lot of people don't go. Like, we don't have respect and love for one another. And so, you know, the rich young ruler wasn't committing adultery, wasn't sleeping with nobody else's spouse, nor was he committing fornication or using somebody for sex that's not his spouse. He wasn't doing that. Nor was he bearing false witness, lying on folks, trying to make himself look good. He wasn't lying on. He wasn't stealing from nobody. That's not what he was doing. He believed in Yah, and he wasn't robbing people. He was an honest dude. He respected his parents. All the natural stuff. He wasn't breaking none of that because he was generally a good dude. Somebody you would say, oh, he's saved without question. You would look at him and say, oh, yeah, he's definitely a believer. But it's another level. It's another, when you get the revelation that humanity, because of our forefather Adam, the very first one, humanity is tainted. It doesn't operate in a level of love that meet the need, because the need could cost you your life. And folks is not willing to lay down their life to meet the need. They willing to be cool with you to meet the need, long as it don't supersede a certain level. Because if it starts superseding a certain level, we get away from you. You begging too much, or you too needy. I got to get away from you. I got goals. I got dreams, and you kind of like messing that up. I got to start shying away from you. That self-preservation we got in us. So when he dealt with the rich young ruler, he was completely cool, really. But he gave him the salvation level. Sell out. Oh, he wasn't willing to do that. He asked, what must I do to be saved? He answered him. First, he told him the last 6. And then when the rich young ruler happily said, oh, I'm doing that, then he added in the first 4. Because to love Yah is to love his children. To rest. You know what the Shabbat is? The Sabbath rest, resting from you. Completely. To the point that somebody else can live. That's why the Messiah said, come on to me, all ye that labor and heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. You're going to find some real rest. Because you're going to rest from your selfishness. And you're going to learn how to walk in a needed level of selflessness. You're going to learn how to meet the need. And I'm talking about simple stuff. Again, like my spouse isn't doing what I want them to do. So we respond in a certain way. When sometimes your spouse is wounded. Could be by you. But sometimes your spouse is wounded. Now you got to dig deep inside yourself and quit tripping off your needs and see what their needs is. Your brother, your sister, not just spouse. Could be your children. Maybe the relationship is ruined because of you. Could be because of them. Could be both of y'all fault. But can we perceive the love of Yah and graduate to the 18th verse? 1 John 3:18. My little children, let us not love in word and tongue, but in deed and in truth. Can we do that? My little children, let us love not verbally, but can you do it? Can you live up to the responsibility of you decreasing that Yah's work would increase in your life, and His work increasing in your life, and His work increasing in your life means less of you and more of Him. John Yachanan the Mercer, they call him John the Baptist, said he must increase and I must decrease. Is y'all getting something out of this? Put a 1 in here if y'all getting something out of this. Is y'all getting something out of this? 1 John 3:16. My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. Now we getting dealt with. Now, see. Oh, come on, talk back to me. Yep. Verbal. Now, action, Jackson. We need to get this done. This is let your heart be your guide, part 1. Let your heart be your guide, part 1. We got to do it. Now, for me to comb a little deeper, just kind of, I want us to leave with a certain platform to grow from. Leslie Sutton. 1 John 3 and 18 through 22 is what we're working from. So, my little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth. And hereby we know that we are of the truth and shall show our hearts before Him. And hereby what? Well, hereby know we are in the truth. What lets us know we in the truth? That we are loving in deed and in truth. That's why we read 16. We were able to perceive Yah's love. Why? Because what He did. And the Most High's love is perceived based on what we do. Not what we say. It's based on what we do. Because we can talk a lot and do nothing. That's what we do. Stay with me. Just trying to bring it in perspective. Let your heart be your guide. And hereby we know that we are of the truth and shall assure our hearts before Him. For if our hearts condemn us, Yah is greater than our heart and knoweth all things. So our heart is like a meter. Yeah, our heart is like a meter. And the meter will go off and start bothering you when you ain't walking in pure love. That's the truth too. You'll be uneasy, uncomfortable, on edge, because you ain't doing right. You ain't loving right. You ain't loving right. You feel way different when you walking in love, when you doing what you know you're supposed to do. You start being able to discern, am I, for the last, no, and I ain't talking about days. I talk about you could be walking in selfishness for years and not detect it. But your relationship with Yah won't be on the level that it should be. And you blessed if your heart bothers you up under those circumstances. You're blessed. If your heart is uneasy, something ain't right, like you can't put your finger on it, go back through the relationships in your life that you need to fix. Or be willing to fix it. If it don't get fixed, it ain't going to be because of you. If it don't get fixed, it ain't going to be because of you. You don't want it said, oh, it's because of both of us. No. You want to fix it, and if it don't get fixed, it's not your fault. Oh, I'm trying to tell you something. Every relationship that's twisted that should be fixed, family, my mama, my brother, my sister, my spouse, my children, you should be one willing to fix it. And if some stop you because you like yourself too much, your pride is in the way, something is preventing you from being humble enough to reach out. You're so afraid of rejection. You're so afraid of rejection that you won't reach out, because rejection is more important to you than walking in love. Not realizing you being willing to be rejected is so much humility that even the person that's the rejector could be delivered because of your humility. We be perceiving rejection like they're going to be like, yeah, trying to, I told you you'd be crawling back. If you humble enough, you can take that. Because somebody going to say, boy, I'm glad you came back. Everybody going to say, I knew you was going to be crawling back. And even the hard-hearted ones, I knew you was going to be crawling back. That's a platform for them to be healed. Even though the initial was, Y'all can deal with them now. They let it go. Why don't you? No. He'll keep working on them. Life keep happening. They let it go. Why won't you? And eventually they might, you know what? Now I'm free to let it go. But that bridge would have never been there had you not faced your pride and been humble enough to build a bridge that they can cross over whenever they want. I'm here for you on your time, and I love you. You learning something? Put a 2 in here. I'm getting ready to go, y'all. 21st verse. But if our hearts condemn us not, then have we confidence towards Yah. When our heart is clear, because we clear and we really want to walk in pure love, then the 22nd verse is applicable. And whatsoever we ask, we receive of him, because we keep his commandments and do those things that are pleasing in his sight. And you know what's pleasing in his sight? He wants us to be vessels he can use to save his children. He wants to be able to save his children, because we his children, and he loved to save us. Oh my goodness, the Bible says, he said, we the apple of his eye. He wanted to rescue us. He wanted to rescue us. Can he use us to rescue his other children? Can he use us as bait to rescue his other children? Can he use us? Put a phone in here if he can use us to save others. Put Put a foreign here. If you willing to be used as bait to save others, even the people that offended us, can the Most High still use us? Still use us. Still use us. Put a four in here. If he can use you. If he can use you, put a four in here. If he can use you to save others, even the people that offended you. Hey, they was hollering, crucify him. And you know what he said? He said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Oh, how many people would have said that? Put a four in here if he can use you to save others. That you want to clear all slates, all of them. I don't want nobody to be able to say about me that I'm the reason that we can't have a relationship. I'm not saying we can. I'm telling you right now, everybody ain't going to be saved. Everybody not going to do right. But you don't want to be involved. You don't want to be involved. I don't want to be involved in that. I don't want to be involved in that, man. I don't. So I got some work to do. Some more mending to do. That's what I know. Yeah. If you got some more mending to do and willing to do it, put a 5 in there so we can pray about it. I'm not even saying you're wrong. You might be. Maybe you wrong and they wrong. Maybe you completely innocent like the Messiah was. But you still is willing to lay down your life that they might live. Put a 5 in here so I can pray. Pray with you. I want to pray with you. Were you with me, Reed? Good talking to you yesterday, man. Hope y'all with me. Hallelujah. I needed it too, Demina. I needed this message as well. Of course, I know what I'm gonna teach. And so I just came up with something right as I was about to chime on. And as soon as I was going to chime on, this dropped in my heart. I was going to teach something else. And then this dropped in my heart. I like that. Because I was asking y'all what I should teach. And it's just what the doctor ordered. Right here. Are y'all with me? Now let's pray. Spirit of living Elohim, we love you and thank you for this opportunity to come before you humbly as we know how we're in your presence because we love you and we need you. Thank you for this opportunity to self-reflect, self-check. We need you desperately. We need you desperately. We need you desperately. Be merciful. Be merciful to your children. Be merciful. For we love you. You were merciful to us. And now we're humbling ourselves and willing to be used as a bridge. A bridge of reconciliation with your children and you. We will willingly be a bridge. We will willingly lay down our lives that somebody else might live. We need your anointing, your unmerited favor to do so. We cannot do it in and of ourselves, but it can be done through you. Greater is he that's in us than he that's in the world. Supply us with your ruah, the power of your spirit right now. We need you desperately. You stood at the door and knocked. We heard your word. We opened up and let you in. And come on in and empower us in this hour to be and do what you would have to do according to your word. Save us even the more as we submit and willing to be vessels that somebody else might be saved. We believe you for the power. You showered down the power. We believe you for the power. We celebrate the victory. We love you. We receive you. We receive you. Forgive us. Forgive us. Some of us did it and we didn't even know. But forgive us, and give us the heart to walk in your ruah, your spirit. And we'll be careful to give you the praise and the honor, not only now, but forever. In the matchless name of Yahushua, we humbly pray. Hallelujah, hallelujah, and amen. That was the lesson for the day. I pray we all continue to obey everything the Most High say, okay? Okay. Ken, you get a chance, call me, man, today. We'd love to chop it up with you. Bev, good to see you in here as well. I'm out the loop. I need to get back in the loop, Bev. I talked to Delisa the other day, but I got you in here. Call me or text me. Let me know the homegoing. I know about the park, the thing at the park, but when is his homegoing celebration? Text me and let me know, Beverly, please. Love all y'all. Let's continue to pray for one another. Hallelujah. I'll be checking in on y'all, But again, I love y'all. Thanks for hanging out. Thank everybody. Push the share button. You're sharing your platforms with the word. Thank everybody that tag. You asking folks to come on in and get a word. And thank everybody that financially supports this ministry. Yeah, you should sow where you grow. Everybody should. If you walk in selflessness about kingdom building, that's what everybody should do. Tell you the truth. Y'all want to talk about the lesson? Feel free to 302-202-1102, extension 815648. Keep that number because there's noonday prayer. And I'll be back on tonight at 7 p.m. Y'all permit. Y'all be Baruch and Barak Shalom. I'm gone.